Friends, welcome to Cyberscripters. In this session of Python learning, we would be learning Python strings. So, what is a string? A string is a Python data type which is used to store string of characters enclosed in quotes. Let's say we have a string Python. Now, the strings in Python language are indexed. Index meaning every character in the string has a number starting from 0. So let's take we have a variable called language and it has a value of string Python. Now every character in this string has an index number starting with 0. So P has index 0, Y has 1 and so on and so forth. So N would be 5. What does this mean? It means that we can access any character or a substring using this index number. So if I print in my Python program language and I provide index 0, it will give me output of P. If I use index 4, it would be O. Similarly, we have negative index as well starting from the end. So minus 1 would be the last character. So minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, it goes that way. So if I access language an index of minus 1, I'll get N. If I access language index of minus 4, I'll get 2. So you need to put this thing in your mind because when we would be writing program, you would need this understanding. So that's why I got this up first. I hope this is clear. Now let's go to our PyCharm and write a Python program to understand strings. Let me create a new file. I'll give it a name, my string. So first let's see how a string is defined. So string is defined by putting a single quote or double quote, right? And you can whatever you write within these double quotes becomes a string. So let me put it Cyberscripters Python Academy. Let's just print it. Run. Okay, as I told you earlier, this is case sensitive. Variable names in Python are case sensitive. So that's why it is giving me error. Let me put a small x. Now it should execute. So now you see we have printed our string. Now if I type what is the type of the string, you can just use type function and it gives me str. Now let's say in our earlier string, if I use single quote, what happened? Oops, it is giving me an error. Reason being, I started with a single quote and I have another single quote in my string here. So what happened was Python assumed that the string is over here and Python doesn't understand what we have written after this single quote. So if you have a single quote within single quotes or a double quote within double quote, you need to escape it. And the escape character in Python is slash. So if I put a slash here, now I should be able to print it. See, now I am able to do it. So this is escape character. Now let's say you have And if you have a string like this, I want to print my directory name, and my directory name is new dir index. Let's see what we get. Oh, same mistake again, capital X. Okay, so you see, this is not we expected. We expected our entire directory name to be on a single line, but instead it is printing C colon on one line and EWDIR on another line. That is because slash n is treated as official character in Python, and it is a new line character. So slash n is new line. If you put slash t here, it becomes a tab. See, so if you want to print such string directly in print statement, what you need to do is you need to put an R before your string. Now what R does is R tells print statement to print the string raw as is. So now if I print it, I'll get this. Or if I have, even if I have slash n, I'll get it the way I want it. Now let's say your string, this is my now let's say you want to print out a multi-line string. So for example, this is my new string. Let's see what happens when we print it. So though the string looks like to be on the two lines in program, here I'm getting a single line. The reason is the string is not actually in two lines. This is a continuation character. So for Python, this is a single line string and it is showing you in two lines just for your visual understanding. If you want to really make a string multi-line, what you need to do is you need to use three quotes. Now, whatever right here in between three quotes, this becomes multi-line. So this is my multi-line string. This is first line. This is second line. And let's say this is the last line. Now let's see. See. Now it is printing as is. So this is how you can print multi-line strings in Python. Now look at some of the methods to manipulate or change strings. So first we'll look at starts with. So let's say my string is Python is good language. And I want to check if this particular string start with a particular word. What I can say it starts with, I say Python. So this will give me a true because this string does start with Python. What happens if I say Python X? I'll get a false. Reason is this string does not start with Python X. Similarly, we have LG. So this will check if your string ends with a particular word. And the third method that we are going to look at is replace. So you want to replace a word or a group of words to something else. So what we are going to do is we are going to replace good with very good. So what basically it does is it replaces this good with very good. Or I can say I want to replace Python with Java. So what I get is Java is good language. So this is how you can use starts with, end with, and replace. Now let's look at indexing and slicing. Now what is indexing? As I explained to you earlier, every character in the string is indexed, starting from index 0. Let's take the string hello world. Now let's print str3. So it starts with 0. So h is 0, 1, 2, and 3. So 3 would be L. So we will get L. See, you can even get, you can even specify a start and end. So for example, I want to start it from 2 and I want to end on 7, let's say. So I'll get L, L, O, and W. Now again, N index is not included. So it would start with 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So this is our 2, 3, 4, 5 space and W6. The general index of slicing is you basically give start, end, and step. So if you don't give start, it will assume 0. So for example, if I say print str, right, colon 7 colon 2. What does this mean is because I have not given any start, it would assume that it has to start from 0 and it has to go till index 6 and 2 means it would print every other character. It would skip one character and it would print the other character. Let's see what it gives. See, it starts with 0, so it took H, right? Then skipped E because we have given step as 2. Then it printed L, and that's how. If I give step 3, then it would skip 2 characters and it would be in the third character. I can even use start and I can skip end. In that case, it would start from 2, but it would go all the way up to end. So this is how you can use this slicing feature. I can start from 7, go till start from 2, go till 7 and print every third character. Another important thing of slicing is you can use this my colon minus 1 to reverse a string. So if I start from minus 1, it would give me a reverse string. So whenever you want to reverse a string or list, For any indexed item, you can use this colon colon minus one to reverse it. And this is very handy. Now let's look at some other functions. One is print. Let's look at upper. So we have upper, lower, and case fold. Let's just print them. So this is upper. Upper simply what it does is it will convert all your characters into uppercase. Lower does the opposite, complete opposite. It would convert all your characters into lowercase. Now case fold is also very similar to lower, but case fold also works on certain non-English characters like German characters or Russian characters. If you want to convert them to lower, you can use case fold, but otherwise for English language, lower and case fold gives you the same kind of output. Another function we would look at is count. Let's say you have a string and you want to count any word. Let's say we want to count stror, how many times you get or into our string. So it is only once because or is here. Now if I give o, so you have o appears twice in hello world. So this count method you can use to count number of words in a given string or paragraph. Now let's look at a few other methods. So those are is alphanumeric, is alpha. First, let's look at then here print str dot is digit is decimal, str dot is digit, and str dot is numeric. So let's define a string str is equal to, let's say my string is ABCD. So what does is alpha do? Is alpha basically tells you do you have alpha characters in your string. So you see, let me just format this a bit. So, okay. So you see, is alpha is true, is alpha numeric is also true. Because what it alpha does is if alpha would be true only if all your characters are alphabets. So if I put a number here, your is alpha would go to false because alpha would give you true only when all your characters are alphabets. Now what about alphanumeric? Alphanumeric would be true if your string is combination of alphabets and numbers. So all numbers or alphabets or mix of them would give is alphanumeric true. So that's why we are getting alphanumeric true and alpha false. Now let's look at the other three because I have seen people during my interviews, I have seen people being confused with this particular three methods. So first is decimal. So when we say decimal, it would give true if you have only numbers. So only decimal numbers. Now when we say digits, it supports decimal, subscripts, superscripts, and your is numeric support decimal, subscripts, superscripts, and Ugar functions, Roman numerals. So what happens is if you have only decimal number, all these three would be true. If you have subscript, superscripts, then each digit and each numeric would give you true, but each decimal would be false. And if you have vulgar functions or Roman numerals, then only each numeric would be true. So let's just look at it. So let's say I have a string of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what happens? Let's see. Oh, forgot to format this. Finally, output of this numeric. Let's see. So now see I have all numbers. So my alpha would be false, but alpha numeric is true because alpha numeric gives true if your numbers or alpha or combination of them. Now each decimal is true because we have only decimal numbers. Digit is true and each numeric is true. Now let me show you subscripts and superscripts. So what I mean when I say subscripts or superscripts? Okay, let's see what do I mean by subscripts or superscripts or Ugar functions. So let us define a variable called super and let me put a Unicode character and Ugar as another Unicode character. Now let's first just print them and see how do they look like. So let's see how these Unicode characters look like. See, the first character super is printed as this X square. You see 2 is very small and is on top of X. So these are called superscripts characters, right? And the vulgar fractions, they look like this. So your Unicode character for all the fractions 1 by 3, 2, 1 by 2, 2 by 5, 1 by 5. So you can just Google it out and you will get list of these Unicode characters. But the point I want to make is your each digit would true for this kind of Unicode characters as well, while your each numeric would give you true for Ugar fractions. So not functions of fractions. So let's see now. if I say here super dot is digit and super dot, so let's say your string has this kind of Unicode characters. Now in that case, what happens is your each decimal would return you true false because this decimal returns to only when those are your numbers. But each digit and each numeric would give you true. But if you have a vulgar fraction, let me say super is equal to 1. So now you see, because in our string we have a vulgar fraction, only each numeric is giving true. But if digit is false, each decimal is also false. So each numeric gives you true when you have decimal numbers, subscript, superscript, vulgar fractions, Roman numerals. For all these characters, it would give you true. So you need to understand difference between these three. There is a very subtle difference between all these three functions. Yeah, so this is it on strings. We have looked at different methods to print string and use them. Again, I will tell you, practice is the only way to master these things. So you have to practice them. You have to use these functions as many times as possible. You have to write small programs to make use of this. And if you have any issues or queries, feel free to drop me a comment and I'll reply you back. Thanks.